I'm talking about how like the industry has changed, and it occurs to me the industry changed for you because like now I feel like you have to be a personality, you know, like you gotta sell
very much
yourself.
so.
And people
Absolutely.
see you before they hear you.
Absolutely.
And you have to have like stage presence, all these things. But it was kind of the same for you because then it was the era of music videos.
Yes.
And so you weren't
Yes.
just on stage with a mic.
Absolutely.
Like you had to have a fits, you had to
Yep.
have a dance moves down. And then, you know, the same people who were like, this music is trash. Like those people
Yeah.
were like, we ain't have all these music videos. You just had one mic and 5 people
Right,
on
and a
stage,
radio
and it was
DJ.
fine. Right.
This jockey.
Exactly. Exactly. So the industry is
Yeah.
always changing. So I don't want to become a curmudgeon. But as you were talking about those people, I was trying to think of like who I listen to. There's a independent group, Tank and the Bangers.
Yes.
I
They're
love
dope.
them.
I love them.
I love them.
They're dope.
They're so good. Okay, you would like.
You would.
Okay.
Is there an independent
Naomi
group?
Sharon?
Yeah, I've heard of her.
She's dope. Yeah.
Oh, I need to.
That's one
find
that.
her.
Yeah, I literally happened upon her.
Yeah.
She's dope. She's very like in a Sade pocket, which is why, to your point,
Yes.
you have to be careful about what you say. And it's interesting because she did a Sade cover, so it's kind of like hard to unhear.
And you
it.
don't want to typecast. You don't want to be
Mhm.
typecasted. You want to just represent yourself. You
Yeah.
know? So yeah.
Well, where do you think the industry is going? Because we talked about like where it's like where it's been and where we are now, but for a younger person who's navigating this space, where do you think it's going?
I think we're doing away with superstars or like the
Good
mega
stuff.
stars.
The celebrity
I just,
culture
yeah, I
even.
don't think that's going to be much of a thing anymore. I think it is going to start being more of like you find the artists that you really appreciate. You kind of find your niche, and you dive into that. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, you're like touring all the time, or if you are, it's just very like small, like more intimate spaces, which I kind of would appreciate.
Really?
Honestly.
It does feel
It's
like
more
it's
authentic that way. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do we feel about award shows, like the Grammys, for instance? Well, you are a Grammy winner,
Grammy nominee 2 times. Yes.
2-time Grammy
Yes.
nominated artist.
Yeah. Mhm.
How do you feel about the Grammy?
I feel
Or award shows in general, but
I feel like award shows in general have become opportunities for corporate sponsorship and corporate placement, right? I think it's more based on relationships with labels who have the money to make sure that this artist is up front. And I've been in some of those rooms where we're supposed to be. I've been invited to be in that circle of people who are like, hey, this is a really important record to amplify. And it still ends up being, well, yeah, but this person over here sponsored 5 commercials. So we're going to do, I think it is disappointing to see that it has become more of a marketing opportunity for corporate, situations than art.
yeah. How about you?
I think I've always been told to care about that stuff, but I just naturally didn't. Like,
Good for
if
you.
I won a Grammy, okay, great. But
Yeah.
I think because of the purpose behind like why I chose this path of like pursuing music, what I'm trying to do with music is far more important than an award,
Well, I have to
So-
tell you, as a consumer, I can't tell you who won Best Album last year.
Yeah.
Or the year before that.
Yeah.
Or the year before
Yeah.
that. It won't
No
influence
idea.
if I buy that album or
Right.
not. But I do download and like stream a lot of music, and I wonder, am I part of the problem as a consumer? Am I helping to destroy this great medium that has meant so much to Black folks,
I don't think so. I think, again, it's one of those situations where if that's what we're exposed to, because that is what the corporations have put the money behind, making sure is on the front of the streaming sites or whatever, what can you do except to word of mouth? Jill Scott is a classic example of, I think, the last time a word of mouth project really made a difference. Because if you think back, and you're familiar, obviously, with Jill Scott. Okay, I think her first album was Who is Jill Scott? And the whole campaign was, we didn't know this was Michael Jordan's label. We didn't know. We hear this music, and we're getting into the music before we even see who the artist is, right?
She changed
And then
the
we're
game.
like, she changed the game.
Yeah.
So I think when you have an opportunity to have authentic marketing where people can really just immerse themselves in the art, and it's not all about the commercial stuff, we get back to that, we're good. But right now we're just, most of the people in the audience at the award shows are corporate guys who bring their friends to see all the people on
Yeah.
stage. It's
Yeah.
just not, it's not real.
Does fame
The vapor.
have a negative impact on creating art?
I think my first thought is yes. Like, I think you see people kind of get into these spaces and get this notoriety and they flip on a dime or they change, or some people might say, oh, it was always in them. I think fame can be good if you stay aligned to like who you are. And I guess if you're a good person, let me say that first. If you stay aligned to like who you are and you are trying to use your influence to positively impact the world. But I think it has become an extremely terrible thing. It's become a popularity contest, and I feel like it's become a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Nicci,
100%.
honestly, tell us, did fame change you?
Hell no.
No. Are you at the height?
Not at all.
When people running out.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something in real life, and I thank God for it. Number one, I always kept family around me. So when I moved from Detroit to Los Angeles, I brought family with me. I hung around family. I took care of my sisters and my cousins and come live with me in LA.
Yeah.
I never got caught up in it. Now, like, I have one or two industry friends, Faith Evans, not to name drop is one of them, but we knew each other before she became famous. And she's very like, yes, absolutely. And she's very anti-fame.
Yeah.
Right?
She's very regular,
Very regular, regular. You know what I'm saying? Fizzy from Brick City. What up, y'all? So I never allowed myself to get into it because I've always known that it was a vapor. Anytime, it's funny because people talk about wanting to be the most famous person in the room. There will never be a person or people more famous than Prince or Michael Jackson. He wrote Slave on the side of his face and took Warner Brothers to task. Michael talked about it at every turn. We see, based on how we all woke up this morning or yesterday morning and saw how real the world gets with certain very famous people, that it really is a toxic, destructive, awful place right now. And I believe that is because they have prioritized numbers over art. Art is the soundtrack of our lives. When we hear Make Me Want to Holler, or we hear some of those songs you were talking about, like your intro, your opening, I can smile about it because Saturday Clean the Crib music, everybody had a cassette tape, and it was motivating you to do something, even if it was clean up your room.
Right. Yeah.
Like you talked about, I tend to agree with you. There are very few songs about love like that. Ribbon in the Sky, where is the ribbon in the sky today?
Yeah.
Where is the rocket? What is it? Riding in the rocket? Where is anything written by Stevie Wonder?
Yeah.
We don't have it.
For the folks who are our audience, I will invite you. Like, if there are people, I don't know, because it could be that we just don't know. Tell us.
I know
Drop
people
a
say
comment,
October London, but I just feel like that's just kind of like, no shade, but I just feel like it's to your point. It's been done, and he's a really talented artist, but you want to stay unique.
Yeah. Let us know who we should be listening to. Like, I'm
I don't know.
curious about too.
You got to tell us.
Well, I don't know.
Because I'm listening to The Groove on Sirius XM. It takes me down.
I'm trying to think of like the last like love song where it's like, oh, you want that to be your wedding song, and I think that was like by Major, This Is Why I Love You. Like, and that came out so long ago. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I do agree with y'all. Like, it is missing.
Yeah,
there's a lot missing.
The music is changing.
It is.
I think about like some of the songs I listen to, and I talk about it. I really did not know what I was singing, but you would have thought, right? Like, you'd have thought I had been through a divorce, had an affair, like Shirley Murdoch and Karen White. When they were taking my little 10-year-old self to places that I didn't even know. I felt it, and I wonder, like, who are the artists that take younger people to that place now? And I don't know. Erykah Badu, who was also a game changer, I think,
absolutely, 100%.
One of my favorite songs, Liberation, and it's a song that Erykah Badu did with Outkast. And it's I can't remember the album it's on, but it's an Outkast Erykah Badu song, and there's a line in it where she says, all you want to do is give the world your heart. Record label try to make you compromise your art. And I think so many artists can probably understand that. Did the record label ever try to make you compromise who you were?
Okay, so yes, from the perspective of outward appearance, right? Creatively, we had creative license. I wrote maybe 80% of the records. Thank God they allowed us to do it. And because we were signed to Michael Jackson's label, I think that there was a certain sensibility that that he had, that we were able to benefit from.
Did you work with him?
Right? Yeah, he was. We worked with him, not like we're in the studio like, hey, Mike, what you think of this song? But he did get, and that is where I have to say they gave us freedom because they allowed us to move to New York, and they would introduce us to all of these producers, and we would just go in and vibe. And that's when albums took a year.
Yeah.
To make,
because it was a body of work.
It was a body of work.
Now, when you say they allowed you to move to New York, is the record label paying for you?
So listen, here's the thing, honey. We were doing car services and all kind of sugar, honey, iced tea.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, that car service that you had for that year and a half, that's $569 million. So we definitely learned the hard way that you don't just, and you're young. We're 22, 23 years old. We're like, hey, this is cool. We're not taking a taxi. We're not taking a train. We want Carmel car service.
Yeah.
And then you realize that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, when it got to the place of like, okay, so maybe you should try some diet pills, or maybe there's always someone who's not really the label, but closely connected to them. Like, you know, I literally had major surgery. I had a tummy tuck and liposuction. I talk about it all the time at 23, going on 24 years old. My mom did not even know. I didn't even call my mom and say like, hey, mom, I'm going to have this surgery, because I knew she'd be like, are you crazy? You know
why
what I mean?
did you do it?